Hello and welcome to the Young Guns. Tonight we're here with you to pick some college basketball games. I am the best, the most amazing, awesome, better than the rest, besides the one below me, host on the Young Guns, Buckeye Mike, and I'm joined by the sometimes mostly annoying Golden Domer Homer above me, Will and D.
Uh,
The great, amazing, once in a lifetime, smartest man in the planet you will ever know, Jeffrey from Only Talk Sports, and the other Bama fan, Jackson Johnson.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
Tonight we're going to talk to you about some college basketball pick'em.
all right.
So, how are we doing tonight, gentlemen?
Oh, we're doing awesome. How you doing, Buckeye Mike?
Doing pretty good.
What do you
Hi.
think about Bama possibly being number one in college basketball tomorrow?
That ain't going to happen.
Yeah, it's gonna more likely be Purdue. They should be number one.
Yeah. That's going to be awesome seeing Bama number one college basketball. But howdy, Tim. How's it going, my man?
That's him.
How's it going? And I guess we're all set to get this show on the road. Let's get ready to rumble.
All right.
So, we're starting with Richmond crapping the bed, huh? And VCU looking overrated and having wins go to their head, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm very happy about this game.
Of course you are.
Yeah, Richmond is definitely not as good of a team as they were last year. They're not terrible, but again, they're just not as good. VCU definitely one of the best teams in the A10, probably the best team in the A10, especially with Dayton struggling a bit lately. So the conference is down as a whole, but as long as Virginia Commonwealth can continue to win, they have a really good shot to make the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
What do you think about it, Mr. JJ?
Bro, VCU, pretty good. But I'll tell you what, though. Is the Atlantic 10 going to be more than two bids, or is it just going to be a two-bid league?
Well,
could just be a
people
one-bid
are hoping
league.
for two if
Could just be
VCU
a
plays well
one-bid
enough to get at large, but who knows?
Hey, maybe Loyola Chicago can make it with the luck from Sister Jean this year. I mean, they got a losing record, but you never know.
Yeah, Loyola would have to win the conference tournament, and the way they're playing right now, it's going to be tough, but anything's possible for sure.
Congrats to the Ramblers for finally winning an A10 game. So there's that. But yeah, we usually always play it close in the Robins Center, even when they're terrible, but we put it on them this year, so needed that revenge win. Happy we got it. Let's move on and hopefully keep winning so we can get in that large bid.
Yeah, don't let it go to your head. I'm talking to you and
we got to keep winning, man. No, we can't crap the bed. We cannot crap the bed.
Ooh, going big, and it's better. You're better off if you go on a big losing streak, because then you prove to everybody you're overrated and overhyped. So that's better.
Hey, Buck, I'm like, Notre Dame's already losing. You got to let them have VCU, man. Come on.
I got it, yeah.
I love his pain.
I'm kidding. Let's moving on to Duke and Miami. This was a good game, folks.
Yeah, Duke. I mean, they were at home. Jeremy Roach returned. That was huge. If he doesn't return, there's a really good shot they don't win this game. I think Miami might have pulled it off. Isaiah Wong, he didn't have his best game. Nigel Pack played well. But at the end of the day, Jeremy Roach's return, being at home, and Duke played a really solid game overall. They got the win. And they should be ranked tomorrow.
I will definitely say Duke definitely deserves to be ranked they should already be ranked, in my opinion, honestly. I mean, because, if we're going to pull the Alabama card, I mean, it is Duke basketball, so they should always deserve to be ranked. Totally just kidding, chat.
I was about to say, I don't think you actually mean that. I was wondering.
Duke, it seemed to me like Duke played overall pretty good to really good performance, both sides of the ball. I think we all kind of felt like this was going to be a close one coming down to the wire anyway. And it ended up being down to the wire. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say they suck. Mm-hmm. Oh God. But just again, overall great performance from both teams. I think it was a back and forth. I didn't have cable, so I didn't really have a chance to watch this game, but I did watch some highlight. But at the time this game was going on, my main focus was the Ohio State game, and I'm sure we'll get to it.
Mm-hmm. So I usually don't root for Duke, and I hate Duke. But one of my friends did go to high school with Jeremy Roach, and they are kind of friends. So, I kind of have a soft spot for Duke this year. But I don't know. It's still hard for me to root for Duke because I was raised to hate Duke. So it's kind of weird watching Duke this year because I'm like, yay, but also no. So we'll see.
I'm not trying to be that kind of guy. You have the weirdest loyalties, man. Oh, I'm not picking this team in the football pick'em because they passed on my friend. So to get back at them, I'm going to pick the other team they're playing. I don't like this team in basketball, and my buddy is friends with a guy on the team, so I'm going to cheer for them, sort of, but not really. I mean, people call me wishy-washy. You're more wishy-washy with your loyalties than I am. I'm at the point I have my teams, but overall, I just love the league.
Yeah, that's the way I am with sports in general. I mean, I got a few teams I like better, but I like just watching games. And I mean, sometimes you can kind of like a team a certain year or, whatever, than another year after that. It just depends. You just kind of are watching the games, Yeah. I mean, how everybody just temporarily fell in love with TCU football this past year, but it doesn't mean that people are going to care about them anymore when they go 7-6 if this year, upcoming year, if they do. People are going to forget about them, but you know how it is. Just people are kind of fickle with sports anyway.
It's like not to get too far off the topic, but it's NBA. I don't, outside of the Cavs, I don't really have, I don't even really care about the Cavs anymore. But outside the Cavs, I don't really have a team in the NBA. Why? Because I like Luka. I love LeBron James. I like Steph Curry. I like Klay Thompson. I want to punch Draymond Green in the face.
I mean, to Tim's point, sports fans do that. Jeff, watch for the love of the game. Man. I mean, like you said, you love watching sports. It don't really matter. Even if you like certain teams better, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah. Even with that short list, I think I made my point. Granted, most of them are Western Conference.
All right.
Anyway, back on topic.
How about this game?
Ooh. I did see this game. This game was exciting, little exhilarating. It was funny to me because the way TCU is in general, between the football program and the way the basketball program kind of is, it's okay, the lead's 15. There's still enough time on the clock for Kansas to come back and TCU blow this. That was sitting in the back of my head the whole time. And then it was a minute left, I'm like, okay, now celebrate because now it's definitely in the bag. I'm shocked you pulled this off this much. And the fact that they were able to do it at Kansas, on top of just doing it to Kansas, they did it at Kansas, which is the biggest shocker of the outcome, I think, more than beating them by like 20 plus.
Yeah, I mean, this game for me, I'm the same with you. It was like you just kind of kept feeling that Kansas would come back and find a way to win, but TCU just kept scoring big buckets. Mike Miles, I mean, Damian Bow. It doesn't matter. Like their team is just wired to hit big shots. When they're on, they're unbeatable. Obviously, they don't play like this all the time. They lost to Kansas State and had a terrible game, but then you bounce back and you beat Kansas on the road. I mean, to Edwards' point, when he was on, he said that he felt TCU could hit big shots, with their guards, they'd win, and they did. And Kansas, besides Jalen Wilson, they're not getting anything out of anyone else on their team right now these last two games. I mean, Grady Dick's cold. He's not hitting big shots like he was right now. He's in a slump. If he can get back going, Kansas should be fine. They're not getting as much out of KJ Adams. It's just Jalen Wilson right now. So TCU caught Kansas in a lull, and TCU played a fantastic game, and they got their first win in Fog Allen Fieldhouse, and it was a great performance. But I think Kansas will be fine. I think they'll turn it around, but it was definitely a fantastic win for TCU. And if they play like this, they have a really good shot to advance far in the tournament, but they have to shoot like this. But they are capable.
Well, I made a promise the other night that if TCU was to upset Kansas, I was not going to call them that dirty nickname I was giving them Thursday night. And I meant it. I'm not going to be no more calling them TCU. No more of that. TCU showed, I think they watched this little live stream from Thursday and they're like, oh, they think we're not all that, huh? Well, how about we show them? And they did.
I mean, do you feel like Kansas played this bad because they were so like mad about how? I mean, they're like the saying how one loss turns into two losses. Do you think that the Kansas State loss affected them? Kansas. I mean, obviously TCU played great, but Kansas also played bad. So, do you think that affected Kansas at all, or do you think they just got beat?
I mean, like I said, I think Kansas is kind of in a little slump right now with the rest of the team. Their other players just aren't playing well. Even in the Kansas State game, it was mostly Jalen Wilson. I mean, obviously, I think TCU played a fantastic game, but I do think Kansas did not play their best as a whole team. And if they do, then this game is a lot closer and Kansas possibly wins. But they're, for whatever reason, their whole entire team is not playing at a high level. But I think they definitely will get back to that. But like I said, it was a fantastic win for TCU. It's just wonder how much of it was the fact Kansas wasn't playing well. But no credit taken away from the Horned Frogs. They definitely deserved to win. They were definitely the better team, and they hit tons of big shots.
I'll say this. The defending national champs, Kansas, better bounce back quick, especially in a conference that's really big in the Big 12. You better bounce back real quick.
Yeah, watch out for TCU in the tournament, man. If they get hot, they could hang with anyone in the country, as they just showed us.
But like the Jerry Reed song goes, when you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're not. And TCU is hot, hot. Kansas is not. Speaking of, Buckeyes have gotten pretty hot on Saturday afternoon against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Buckeye Mike, give us your takeaways from the Ohio State.
I mean, great, you showed up. You proved me wrong for one game. Can you make it 2 games? Can you play a team like Nebraska, like Minnesota, and actually win the game? Can you not lose the games you're supposed to win? To Jeffrey's point, Indiana is going on now a 3-game win streak. Probably going to be 4 because I'm sure when we get to the pick'em, Jeffrey's going to pick against them. And your boy, Buckeye Mike, he's here to save the day again to pick them for the 4th time in a row. But
Whatever works, man. I mean, you got to do what works.
I want to see this on a regular basis. I still have no trust in this team. To everybody's point, it's hard to, go in on the road, win on the road, because the home crowd is so electric. This is almost like to me, the Ohio State basketball season for the men's is at the point, like if you look at the pulse monitor in the hospital, we've been flatlining, and now it's doo-doo.
Yeah,
Is it-
the Ohio State Buckeyes have been on like this 5-game losing streak going into Saturday's game against Iowa. I mean, losing to Purdue, okay, but you're going down against Minnesota and Nebraska, Rutgers, and Maryland in that little span as well.
Mhm.
So what's really going to help you get in, because get in the bubble and then get in as a lock, is basically win out. You're going to need to really win out Ohio State. Have more games like you did on Saturday. You'll be good to go.
I will say about all your guys' comments so far, I agree with most of them. I will say, though, I think that Ohio State played like a team that knew that they had to win this game or their season was shot. And it basically was, because you don't win this game, you're probably not going to turn it around. Obviously, in the Big Ten, even though everyone says the Big Ten is not a great conference, they just have a bunch of teams that aren't very good, and none of them are, capable of winning the whole entire thing. And that somewhat is true. But the Big Ten is also a conference that has a lot of teams that are in the net good enough to not be considered a bad loss. So you're able to lose a lot of games and still make the tournament. Michigan made the tournament last year going 18-14 or whatever, 17-14, something like that. I mean, they had a terrible record. They made the tournament. So, I mean, Jackson, you're right that Ohio State, needs to win a lot of games to make the tournament. But, I mean, they can lose more games to make the tournament. If Ohio State goes like 18-13 in the regular season, they could still make the tournament. Especially if there's no bid stealers and they don't have any more bad losses. Now the Minnesota loss, that really hurts. That's bad. But if you don't suffer any more bad losses, you could be forgiven for that. But I just think that Ohio State played like a team that was desperate. They knew they needed to win. And I think that this win will help them out, get to turn the season around. But I also think that Iowa's still a sketchy team on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, they haven't improved a little bit on defense, but I think Ohio State exposed that. It's going to be very interesting to see how they perform against the tougher teams in the Big Ten on defense. And if Ohio State can start winning those type games later on down the stretch, I think Ohio State can still be a tournament team. I think they could get in, like I said, like an 18-13, but they're definitely going to have to get going, because right now they're 11-8. And like I said, if you do lose this game, they'd have been 10-9, 2-6 in the Big Ten, and it would have been really hard to climb out of that. It's a really good win for Ohio State.
I mean, to your point, it's like the attendance for this game was so in the trash can. Like,
yeah,
really
the crowd was quiet. I agree. The crowd was kind of quiet. I did watch some of this game. I mean, like, for a Big Ten game, like you play at Michigan State, or you play at Purdue, or you play at Illinois or at Indiana. Those venues, it is so loud you can't even think. Ohio State, even when Ohio State's really good, the crowd has always, to me, been a bit lackluster. Why? Because the fans care so much about the football team. If they supported the basketball team more, I think they'd be even better. It is a lot easier to get a road win at Ohio State than it is at Indiana. It just is. Why? Because the fans make it hard at Indiana. They make it hard at Purdue. Ohio State's fans just aren't as great. I think Iowa just played a horrible defensive game. I think Ohio State had a great game on offense. I mean, they have talented players. I mean, Bryce Sensabaugh is a great freshman. I mean, Ohio State, props to Chris Holman. I mean, I don't know how much of it is Chris Holman, because some people say some players just develop. But I mean, you look at Ohio State, they've had several freshmen in a row that have overseeded expectations and gone to the draft after 1 year. Bryce Sensabaugh is going to be the next in line, but Malachi Branham last year, he wasn't supposed to be a one and done. I mean, at least Ohio State's developing players. I mean, I think the issue for them is their whole entire team hasn't really developed. It's like one or two guys. They need more of a team effort, and they got that in this game, but it's going to be interesting to see if they can continue to do that.
And I mean, to the point, it's like, you know, as far as the fans, you know, nothing breaking news-wise yet, but, you know, Bronny James, a.k.a. LeBron James Jr., his final 3 are USC, which is absolutely not going to happen, Oregon, probably not going to happen, and Ohio State. And I mean, he probably threw USC, Oregon in there just to have a final 3, because he's been talking about coming here to Ohio State. And, you know, when he gets here, it's like, okay, the fan base needs to really be in it, because you're probably looking at possibly the next variation of his dad.
I'm just going to say this about Bronny James real quick with the final 3. I mean, you got to look at it. I mean, USC, he's from California, obviously, right now with his, you know, dad, you know, playing with the Lakers. So, I mean, USC makes sense because it's there. Oregon makes sense because it's Nike. Makes sense. That's why kids go to Oregon, even when Oregon's not great. That's why kids go to Oregon. Ohio State, I mean, they got NIL. They do. I mean, it's more of the football, but you got to think about it. And I know that LeBron loves Ohio State, which is why Ohio State's on the list. But the Big Ten's play style is not great for a guy like Bronny James. He would fit better in the Pac-12. Why? Because the defenses are worse for most teams. I know people would argue that, but a lot of the teams' defenses are worse. You would more than likely be able to fill it up more than you would in the Big Ten, where it's so physical and tough. I mean, a lot of players, you know, don't go to the Big Ten for that reason. People say, oh, it's the cold weather. You're playing indoors. Nothing to do with that. That would be more in football. It has to do with the style of play. A lot of players don't want to do it. Jalen Hood-Schifino committed to IU. You know, he did decommit from Pitt, but then when he went to Montverde, he ended up committing to IU. Why? Because he can handle it. He's a big 6'6", 215-pound guard. He can handle the physicality of the Big Ten. I just question if Bronny James can handle the physicality of the Big Ten and whether he would want to play in that style of play. Now, if he does, I think Ohio State would be a pretty good fit because, again, he could be the next in line with Bryce Sensabaugh and also with Malachi Branham. And that's why I think he is looking at him, because of those two guys developing and going pro. But I think the style of play would be better if he was at USC or Oregon.
I mean, the thing too is like, okay, Bronny James.
Mr. Dweedy, how are you doing tonight, man?
So, I think we can all agree, if he's not, it's literally because LeBron will not let him do it. But I think we can all agree that, and this is the last thing I'll say about this, and we can move on. Whoever he goes to, all I'll say is wherever he goes, that fan base needs to really be appreciative of Bronny, because LeBron James Jr. is probably going to be a one and done. So take advantage of it and love the guy for his performance. Don't bash him. Don't be stupid and negative towards him. Just love what he's doing on the court and support him and be appreciative for whatever he brings you. I think the reason I'm saying, because I know Ohio State's also not a possibility. Like, he could go to Oregon. As Edward said in the chat, it looks like it's Oregon, to be honest, which is fine. The reason I say Ohio State, though, is I think Ohio State is positioned in the right spot at the right time. We're missing a piece or two where you get someone like LeBron James Jr. come in and run this sucker up, and we got ourselves a Final Four potential national championship team, which, you know, like the Cowboys, sorry to open that door, people don't want to hear that either.
My last thing on this, and then to you know, move on to the next game. I mean, I think that it's interesting you say that with Ohio State because all three of these schools that are on his list are football schools: Oregon, USC, and Ohio State. So all three, the fan bases are a bit lacking in basketball. And to Edward's point, I was going to say that I wouldn't say adding Bronny James instantly makes Ohio State a Final Four team. They need a lot more help in the portal because they don't have a center. They don't have a center. The Big Ten, I know that a lot of people trash the Big Ten because of the fact that it's all big men and that doesn't help in tournament time. But to win in the Big Ten, most of the time you need a center. I was kind of in the exception where they can do it without a center, but that's why Ohio State's getting floored on a lot of these games because they cannot stop the best centers in the Big Ten. So if you don't get a transfer portal or possible center, then Bronny James will not be enough to compete in the Big Ten, get a high seed, and then that maybe once you make the tournament, that's when Bronny James could help you out more.
Yeah, and like I said, piece or two. LeBron James Jr. would be one piece. If we still don't have a center by the time he comes around, that would be the other piece. Piece or two. We're almost there. Do I have that expectation? No, I never do. But anyway, next game.
Oh, man, that was a great one. Arizona going up against UCLA and smacking UCLA.
I'll just say about this game, Arizona, to what's on the screen, Wildcats need this one, need to stop playing down the competition. It's all about effort here. Arizona's talented, and they're really good. And this was a game that they just shut down UCLA. They defended at a high level, and they shut them down. This was a game that a lot of people thought would be in the 70s or 80s, maybe even the 90s, and it was in the 50s. But the 3 games that they lost were games that they gave up a lot more points to an inferior basketball team. So that's why when asked whether Arizona or UConn was a bigger fraud or was slipping more last week, I said Arizona is better than UConn, in my opinion, at this time. I'm not saying UConn can't get back to that level. I still think they're capable. But Arizona has all the positions filled that they need. They're talented at every position. It's just about playing hard night in and night out. You're going to have off nights. But Arizona had 3 poor games against Utah and Washington State. Just poor teams in the Pac-12. I'm not saying Utah is bad. They're not awful. But teams they should have beaten. But they bounced back, played a fantastic defensive game against the Bruins. And they got a much-needed win to boost themselves back up in the national conversation for college basketball.
Yeah, Arizona is really funny, though. They played down to Washington State, bit them in the rear end. Played down to Oregon, bit them in the rear end. But they play up to UCLA, Indiana, and Tennessee. Now, will they continue their going up ways as the weeks go forward? Or are they going to, continue this back and forth business where they play up to their opponents and they play down to their opponents?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They just have been in almost a wash cycle where they get up for the big ones and then they just drop for the little ones. They get up for the big ones, drop for the little ones. And it's not going to work. That's not going to get the job done. It's not going to, bring an Elite Eight, bring a Final Four, national championship. And, this may not, the comment I just made may not age very well because maybe Arizona gets it together or they keep doing this spin cycle crap and they get to the Final Four. I mean, we never know. But.
Well, maybe Tommy Lloyd can do what Sean Miller could never do. Get him to the Final Four.
I think Tommy Lloyd's a great coach of bringing in the talent, but they got to motivate him, man, because that's part of what bit them in the NCAA tournament. And yes, Notre Dame did lose to Boston College. It's embarrassing.
Oh, my gosh. That's pathetic.
All right.
I was actually hoping they would rally around Mike Bray, now that he's announced that he's not returning.
So Wake Forest
this year, but it doesn't look like they're going to play good. Anyway.
Right. But yeah, Wake Forest and Virginia. Oh, man, that was pretty big. Will, what was your reaction to that Wake Forest-Virginia matchup?
I was hoping the refs would help out Wake Forest, but it wasn't enough. UVA is a great team, and they're probably the best team in the ACC right now. So See if they can keep it going. Hopefully
Wait,
not as a EA hater. But
You mean they're better than Notre Dame in the ACC? That's not.
yeah, I think Notre Dame's playing
Well,
the
isn't
worst out of any
every-
team in the ACC right now.
Isn't everybody in the ACC better than Notre Dame
I
this
mean, maybe
year?
not Georgia Tech, but that's not saying much.
What about?
I mean, you ask because Will's just saying that. 'Cause-
Louisville, I mean, we could lose to Louisville, honestly. I forgot. I'm sorry, Austin's
Oh.
not here, so I forgot about Louisville. but
Yeah, that's the only team that
Yeah.
Notre Dame is apparently better than this year.
Well, they beat Georgia Tech, so.
Yeah, Georgia Tech, they're awful too. Yeah.
Well, on this game, I mean, Virginia, I mean, they've been slightly inconsistent this year. They've had a couple, poor performances, but they seem to be turning around. They're playing a lot better. Armand Franklin, the Indiana transfer, had a big game, 25 points for Virginia. He's been inconsistent, but he seems to be putting it together, and that's huge for Virginia because they just don't really have a shot maker. I mean, Kihei Clark, he's a really good passing point guard. Reese Beekman's a great defender, but they're not like offensive weapons. Armand Franklin's the key for Virginia. If he continues to play well, then they can win the ACC possibly and go far in the NCAA tournament. But he has to play well for them because outside of him, they just don't have that true shot creator. It can knock threes down on a consistent basis. But he had a big game because if it wasn't for him, if he has 10 points, Wake wins this game. So that's why Virginia won.
But yeah, Wake Forest had a pretty good week. Showing the ACC that the ACC is not the all Clemson conference in college basketball. But looks like it's going to be a seesaw battle between Virginia and Clemson pretty soon.
It's usually the all Unk or Blue Devil conference in basketball.
True. So, but February 28th is going to be fun.
Yeah, ACC is definitely not as bad as it was last year, man. It was bad last year.
Yeah.
So good to see that as an East Coaster. All right. Moving on to
the Kentucky Wildcats going up against the Texas A&M Aggies. Well, the Aggies aren't unbeaten in conference play anymore. So, Buzz Lightyear Williams not to the rescue in Lexington. Jeffrey, give us your take on that.
Yeah, this game, I mean, it's really showing that with Kentucky. I mean, yet again, Severe Wheeler, he's out right now for Kentucky, and Kassan Wallace, their 5-star, guard, he's been playing, more on the ball instead of off the ball, and the offense just seems to be running smoother. Now you've got two shooters playing more, CJ Frederick and Antonio Reeves. They're starting to knock shots down. Oscar Tshiebwe, he's getting back to form. After that Alabama game, he's woken up, and I mean he's been putting up a lot of points last few games. So I'll just say that if Kentucky keeps playing the way that they are the last couple of games, they're definitely a tournament team. I don't think they're going to win the SEC. Obviously, that's more likely going to be.
Hey, Joey Foster, how you doing, man?
That's more likely. That's more likely going to be Alabama who's going to win the SEC, or it could be Tennessee. It's probably not going to be Kentucky, but Kentucky's definitely going to be a tournament team if they keep playing like this. They're definitely, the last 3 games have played a lot better than they did the prior 3 games before that. So, and to Texas A&M, to your point, Will, you made last week, you kind of felt that A&M, they hadn't really played many great teams. You felt maybe they'd finally lose, and they did. And thanks for being here, Joey, as well.
Thank you for coming on, Joey.
Yeah, I mean, once those shooters get going, because they're going to be good in the front court with Oscar Tshiebwe, but Kentucky just needs those shooters to get going, and they're starting to do that.
Mm.
All right, guess we're ready to move on.
Moving on up. Let's go. Jean Marquette and Seton Hall.
I knew you were going to say that again, Jackson.
I'm glad, Will, and you're saying that Seton Hall could get it done, and I actually thought they had a shot, too, and I picked Marquette. Glad I did. Shaka Smart actually has Marquette playing at a really high level. I mean, that game at Xavier was a fantastic game, and you feel like maybe Xavier had a bit, of a letdown after that game, losing at DePaul like they did. But yeah, I mean Marquette. I mean, outside of that Xavier game losing, they played really well in that game. They're just playing really great basketball. They're definitely one of the top Big East teams. And Seton Hall have been playing better the last couple of games, but Seton Hall definitely did not play as well in this one. And Marquette had a fantastic performance, and they blew them out. So Shaka Smart, you got a really solid team.
Shaka.
So this is why, yes, by definition, technically they're pronounced Seton Hall. Well, guess what? When you lose by 21 to freaking Dwayne Wade's alma mater, you don't deserve to be called Seton Hall. So from now on, until you win, and I'll take the hit, I'll be the one to say it, or Jackson can say it. It's pronounced Satan's Hole. Or just SAT.
Yeah, I'll put Shaheen Hall.
There's definitely worse teams though than Seton Hall.
True.
In the country. I mean, you can make an argument that are like, I mean, California, Louisville,
Stanford,
Minnesota. Hey, Stanford beat Oregon. I mean, the other night.
That's true.
But I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I'm just saying, Seton Hall's not that bad. They're not in the toilet.
I'm not saying
they're still a solid team that could possibly make the tournament, and it's Shaheen Holloway's first year as a head coach there. I think he's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, I mean, at least they're not collapsing like Connecticut, so that we can give them.
And even they won. They beat Butler today, man, and they blew Butler out. Maybe they're turning a corner.
And I'm not Marquette stinks or they're not good either. I mean, Marquette is a really good team, but I'm just saying, Marquette and Seton Hall are usually on the same level, roughly.
Well, Edward in the chat says that Marquette is a great basketball program. Well, he's right on that. They are a great program because they're beating up on Seton Hall.
Yeah, that's why they fired Wojciechowski, because he wasn't winning enough. I mean, they want to win. They're not a program that, we can miss the tournament 5-6 years in a row and we're okay. They want to make the tournament. So I would say they're definitely a pretty good basketball program. And actually, I will say on Stanford, they're 7-12 and Notre Dame is 9 wins. So technically, Notre Dame has more wins than Stanford in basketball.
For now.
I mean, Stanford, the way they're playing and the way the Pac-12 is, they could definitely get some more wins.
Yeah.
But
all right,
give Will a little credit.
This was sad. This was a sad game.
Yes.
What happened?
Oh no.
Terquavian Smith, the absolute best player on NC State's basketball team that definitely could have went pro last year, but he decided to return. He was going to be a first-round draft pick last year, and he shocked the college basketball world and returned. He got severely hurt in this game. And it's
what happened?
He got fouled by Leaky Black, who ended up getting ejected. It was a hard foul, and he's got neck injuries and stuff. It's terrible. I will say that North Carolina, I mean, they got the win, but they shot 39 free throws in this game. NC State shot 10. You're not going to win a game like this. I mean, North Carolina, they were very physical, and they got to the line a lot, and they made their free throws, so credit them. But like I said, you're not going to win many games when you're shooting 39 free throws, and NC State, they're shooting 10. So good win for Carolina. Hit the free throws. I hated on Terquavian Smith. I hope prayers for him. He's going to get better. He's going to be able to return soon, hopefully. But good win for Carolina. I was watching this game, so one of my teams won, but I felt really bad for NC State in this one. Everything just did not go their way.
Was he the best player on the team?
Yes.
Oh man, how long is he out?
One of the best players that nobody still doesn't really know about, and they should.
Terquavian Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see the play, but I would almost guess that it was done on purpose. Would be my first guess.
I
Like
don't
he
know.
was getting hot and it was done on purpose.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it
It's okay.
what'd you say?
I said it's okay. You can state your opinion if you agree with what I said. It's
No, I
fine.
mean it could go either way. I mean, you never want to say a player did something on purpose. Leaky Black's never really shown to be a dirty player before, and he's in his 5th year of college. So, I don't think he did it on purpose. It was just a tough play. I mean, last year no one cares about this, but like Indiana, I mean, Trey Galloway broke his wrist last year on a play where he got hooked in the air and he fell and he couldn't brace himself, broke his wrist. And the player that did it to him has never done anything like that before. It was just a play that happened, and unfortunately, it resulted in a severe injury. I don't think Leaky Black did it on purpose, but it was a bad play.
Now,
But I hope Quavian Smith gets better, man.
I will say that when this stuff happens, you can almost tell instantly if they did it on purpose or not, because you get like the oh God,
Yeah.
that kind of reaction's like, okay, yeah, they didn't do it on purpose. To your point, and also to your point, if you see the freaking Georgia
the throat slash, of course, the throat slash.
or the Georgia player reaction, then yeah, you can tell it was done on purpose. I mean, I'm sorry to you guys in the chat that my brain instantly goes there. That's not necessarily a good thing. But
you'll never get that play out of your head ever.
Oh, you talking about Marvin?
Yeah.
I mean, he is my favorite player. Oh my God, it was horrible.
Well, I mean, I don't want to talk this either, but since we're talking about that, I mean, Race Thompson got hurt this year because the Iowa player, Tony Perkins, was dribbling the ball, and literally he slipped and blew right into his leg. I mean, that was questionable because it's like he didn't have to do what he did, but it happened, and Race Thompson could have tore his ACL. Thankfully, he did return for 4 minutes in the game against Michigan State today, so he should be easing his way back to playing, but he's clearly still not 100%. But I mean, any play when a player gets hurt like that, you can say was done on purpose. To your point, Buck, I'm like, the reaction matters. But I mean, sometimes not even just the reaction, it's just the way it happened. Could it have been avoided? It's not even if it was done on purpose. It's just, could it have been avoided? Like the Ohio State one, Marvin Harrison could have been avoided. Race Thompson getting hurt should have been avoided. Terquavian Smith, it was iffier. It just happened, but it's like, if it was avoidable, it's worse. Even if it wasn't done on purpose, it's just if it was avoidable and they get hurt, it stinks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or
right.
Moving on up to USC and Arizona State.
Big win for Champions, boys.
Will, what was your take on the USC Trojans and the Arizona State Sun Devils?
Well, I thought ASU would defend their home turf better, but USC really made a statement that, hey, they competed with UCLA, so maybe they're the third. Maybe they proved that they're a top 3 Pac-12 team.
What I thought was funny about this game is the fact that USC was winning this game by like 25 points, and then they just collapsed. I mean, literally in the last 4 minutes of the game, Arizona State went on a 17-0 run, and they cut it to like 7. And it looked like for a second or two that maybe they were going to actually lose the lead. But at the end of the day, they ended up finally not turning the ball over anymore. No more 5-second violations, no more not getting the ball across half court, no more chucking the ball down the court and it got turned. I mean, that literally was like 3 or 4 minutes of the game was just USC turning it over and over again. And what made it even funnier was the fact that everybody in the crowd for Arizona State left. So when the game ended and you see this final score, there was nobody there. Because usually if it's like an 8-point game, there's still people at the game. They all left because the game was over, but USC was literally blowing the lead. Bobby Hurley was losing his mind because he actually thought his team had a shot to win. But USC, again, finally stopped making mistakes, hit a couple free throws, game was over. But USC should have won this game by like 20 points.
So, the way you describe that, would you say it resembles, and I know we got to get through the reviews, but would you say that the crowd reaction to it kind of resembles the I forget which NBA Finals game it was. It was one of the Miami series ones. They had a big lead, so everybody left, and then or they were down big, and then they made the comeback, and everybody tried to get back in, but obviously couldn't. I mean, yes,
it was like that. I mean, there was literally nobody there. No, I'm just saying, Tim, that USC, they played a good game, but if you watch the game, they were up by 20, 25 points, and then they just completely collapsed. They won the game. I mean, they played really good until the last 5 minutes. They looked like a team that did not know how to just get the ball across to half court, in 10 seconds. They couldn't get the ball in bounds. Arizona State just started flying around with their arms, literally Bobby Hurley screaming to death. He's like, and just they almost blew the game. I mean, again, I'm giving USC credit. They played really, really well, but you cannot go from a 25-point lead and there's nobody in the stands for Arizona State till you win by 8. That was bad. They should have won by more. They had the game.
SC? Did you empty out the bench or no?
By the end, I think they actually left everybody in, but obviously when things started getting rough, everybody was in for sure. But I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm not taking anything away from USC, Tim. They played really, really well, but that was bad at the end of the game. Because I mean, you don't want that, because see, now that teams know that you do that, what if you're up in a game by 10 and there's 5 minutes left and then they start pressing and all that? You're going to lose that game because you gave up 17 points in a row to Arizona State and you ended up winning the game by 8. If you're only up by 10 and they start pressing, you could lose. I've seen this happen before for a lot of teams that can't handle press. So Andy Enfield, literally their practice just needs to be how to handle press, how to get the ball at the end of the game across half court. Because if they do that, they're going to win their next game by a lot more than they did if they're up big.
I mean, to your point, yeah, it's a great quad-winning win, but like you said, they had a 20 or 25-point lead. They should have won by more than 8. Is basically what you're getting at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, you inbound the ball, and you get across half court, and you're up by 20, and Arizona State's not going to foul because it's over, and then that's it. But instead, I mean, it's not that, Tim. It's basically, okay, USC goes down the court. This is the last thing I'll say, and then we can move on. All I'm saying is that if USC gets the ball across half court, you miss a shot, Arizona State gets the ball, and then they hit a 3. Then USC inbounds the ball. USC misses a shot at the end of the shot clock. Arizona State goes down and hit a 3. That's different. It's because the way USC was playing, they were turning the ball over. They couldn't get the ball across half court and were allowing Arizona State to come back in the game instead of just missing shots. That's all I'm saying, Tim. You're going to have moments where the other team gets hot. I'm just saying the way that they were letting Arizona State come back in the game is not a good sign for when you're playing in a different game and your lead's not as high. You could blow the game. That's all I'm saying. They played really well, but the last 5 minutes, they need to handle the ball better. That's it.
Did they box out when they were trying to preserve the lead? Did they box out at all?
I mean,
for like offensive rebound.
I think they gave up 1 or 2 of those. I think that there was one play where dude missed a free throw for Arizona State and they didn't get it back, and then they hit a 3. It was one time. Yeah, it was once.
I was gonna say that's the thing with the game as a whole. Like I even see it in NBA too. Like I was watching bits of Milwaukee and somebody else, the Bucks and somebody else, I think last weekend. Mm-hmm. Somebody would jack up a 3 and they're literally everyone's outside of the paint, just like, oh, he's gonna make it. Oh no, oh, I don't run over here. It's like, no, get in the paint, put your arms out, put your freaking butt out, put it right up against your defender, and box them out. It ain't that hard.
I agree.
Yes, exactly, Edward. That's what irritates me with basketball. It's the one thing that turns me off because you're not playing a full game. You're not incorporating all the things in the game. That's the thing that irritates me. But Anyway, we have more games to review before we do picks.
Jeffrey's boys at it again. Another one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jeffrey, give us your take on the Indiana Hoosiers.
Yeah, this game, man. I mean, literally. I mean, this is Indiana, basically. Like, we want to save our season here. You know, I mean, you've had injuries, and you're still recovering. Race Thompson did return, played 4 minutes, but he clearly isn't healthy. But he's trying to return. They're waiting on Xavier Johnson to get back, so they're biding time. They're trying to get him back. And these last 3 games, you had the 3-game losing streak to Northwestern, Penn State, and Iowa. Now you've had the 3-game win streak against Michigan State, Wisconsin, and Illinois on the road. Indiana's playing fantastic right now. I don't know how long it's going to last. I have no idea. But Trace Jackson Davis was a beast in this game. I mean, he scored 31 points, and he had 35 at Illinois, but he scores 31 points. And the key for Trace Jackson Davis, when a lot of people talk about fantastic players, I mean, you look at a lot of players and it's points and boards, or if it's a guard, it's points and assists. This guy does it all. 31 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 blocks. I mean, he does everything. He passes well. He's a great shot blocker. He can score. He can rebound. He does everything for this basketball team. That's why they're a better team now than they were before, because of the fact he used to never be able to pass the ball as well. Now he's an elite passer. And Tamar Bates and Trey Galloway both scoring 17 points. They hit 8 threes between the two. You're going to win a lot of games when 2 guys that don't normally hit threes are hitting threes. I mean, Izzo literally was like, well, we're going to try to stop Jackson Davis and let him shoot the ball. Well, then Indiana started shooting the ball, so then he had to stop double teaming Jackson Davis, and it ended up being bad news for the Spartans. Indiana hit their free throws. They just played a really good game. The home crowd was insane. Izzo's got a good team, but he needs Malik Hall back. He missed the game. So they're a solid team. They're going to need to be healthy as well. But Indiana's playing like a tournament team right now. But the question is can they keep playing like this? And once they get their 2 starters back, Race Thompson, Xavier Johnson, how good can they be is going to be very interesting to see.
I know we've been through this twice already, but your savior is here, Jeffrey. For whatever reason, every time I pick Indiana now, they actually do what they're supposed to do and they win. You know, honestly, in my opinion, I know God knows when was the last time Indiana won the Big Ten in basketball.
2016.
It was rhetorical. But I honestly like Indiana basketball more than I do Ohio State basketball. Why?
I mean, that's literally my. Before you say that, that's literally my point. Like, I like North Carolina basketball, probably better, but it's like Indiana's like I just like them. I just want them to win like they used to. Go ahead though.
Oh no, you're good. But Trace Jackson Davis, incredible player, and he just goes off. Every time I've watched him play, he goes off. I most memorably recently the Wisconsin performance really sticks with me. Personally, I think he's the best player on the team, and I do feel like he definitely sort of carries the team. I don't know if you feel that way, but I feel like he definitely carries the team for the most part.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he does. He basically carried the team the last 3 years on his own, but this year he's got more help. They're still not like that secondary. Like Jalen Hood-Schifino is that secondary guy, but he also has been banged up and he didn't play good today. He only had 2 points. But like Galloway, Trey Galloway, Tamar Bates, Jordan Geronimo, when Xavier Johnson, they just have a lot of guys that can play well. They're not consistently good at playing well, but they have more guys that can play well and like the pass. So yes, Jackson Davis carries the team, but he has more help this year than they used to.
I mean, overall, they're a good team, and hopefully they can keep this whatever random winning streak alive and just keep it going. Hopefully they're good enough to make a deep run this year.
Mm. This is the first 3-game winning streak in the Big Ten for Indiana since Romeo Langford.
Oh, that's been a while.
Yeah, so they needed this.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, that was pretty good right there.
Mm.
Memphis and Cincinnati.
Yeah,
Cincinnati.
I'm surprised how bad Memphis was doing, but they got it done here against Cincy.
Yeah, this game right here for Cincinnati, this is bad news for their at-large NCAA tournament hopes. I mean, they're not completely out of the race, to get an at-large completely, but they lose a couple more games. I mean, in the American Conference, you have to not have too many losses to get an at-large. Like if Cincinnati starts getting like 9-10 losses, then they're going to have to win the conference tournament. I think they're a solid team, but Memphis, they just have better players, more talent, and they showed up to play in this game, which something Memphis doesn't always do, but they did in this game, and they played really well.
So one question I have, and this is regarding the American Athletic Conference. Are we going to see, I mean, and this is not right now, I know for sure, but are we going to see more than 2 bids for the American Athletic Conference, gents?
I think we can see 3 or 4.
It's possible. It is definitely possible. Houston's going to need to get beat more, to get more quality wins for these other teams. But I could definitely possibly see 3 or 4 at the max if some of these teams get wins over Houston and they don't slip up in the other games. Because, I mean, the issue with the American is there's a lot of teams that are, like, good enough to beat you. I mean, like if Memphis lost, like, a UCF or Tulane, like those are, Tulane, UCF are possibly maybe at-large teams, but UCF just lost South Florida. It's probably not them, but I mean, it's one of those things where you kind of need like the top teams to be really good and then the bottom teams to be bad. But like, there's enough teams in the American that are not, good teams in the net that can beat you, and that's the issue. So Memphis and Cincinnati and Tulane, these teams cannot trip up if they want to be at-large teams.
Yeah, that sounds like the Atlantic 10.
But just a slightly better version than the A10 this year.
Yeah, this year.
Just because the American has Houston.
Yeah. Do you think Memphis beating Auburn, helps them, so to speak?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially now that Auburn's playing well.
And especially them beating VCU on ESPN Plus. I wonder if that helps them, so to speak.
Yeah, well, they lost to St. Louis, so they're 1-1 against the A10. So
yeah,
it would have been better for them to lose to VCU than St. Louis because St. Louis is struggling right now. I mean, they're playing a little bit better, but Yuri Collins needs help, man. He needs help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited for that game. Not this Friday, but next Friday. We're playing at St. Louis, so that's a big one.
Oh yeah, that'll be pretty good.
Go St. Louis.
All right.
Oh yeah, Temple, Houston. Now, everyone watching this video, everyone watching this live stream, this is the 3rd time Temple is now, I believe, 3-18 all time against number 1 teams. This is the 3rd win against the number 1 team. This was the first time since February 20th, 2000 against number 1 Cincinnati that Temple has upset a number 1 team. And Houston is most definitely not going to be number 1 tomorrow. The question is, will it be Purdue or Alabama? But is Temple going to win out enough? And does this win help them in their case to make a bid?
So
they're second in the American Athletic Conference, so to speak.
The problem with Temple on getting an at-large bid is that Khalif Battle, he was injured in the non-conference. And I know the NCAA tournament committee takes into account injuries, but they suffered so many bad losses in the non-conference that I don't think they can get an at-large unless they won out. you said that with Ohio State. No, Temple would have to win out to get an out.
Right.
And
It
I don't
looks
think
like
Temple can. I don't think Temple can because they're going to slip up too many times. So they're more likely going to have to win the American Conference tournament. It was a great win. I will say, I
Right.
did say that if Houston played a 50% or less game, that Temple could win, and Houston did. So good win for Temple.
so. Basically, it looks like Temple is going to have to really win out,
Mhm.
and they're going to have to beat Houston again on February 5th, a couple weeks from now. And it looks like Temple will have to win the American Conference, so to speak, to win the American Conference tournament. From what I'm seeing, I mean, yeah, they got other big wins such as VCU and Rutgers, but that's it. Take out the Houston one. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
like
like
to
I
leave
said,
Battle get too many points against us.
The issue is the bad losses. I mean, if they were healthy in the non-conference, then they wouldn't have those bad losses, and then they could definitely be an at-large team. But they just have poor losses. But yeah, I think Temple will definitely have a better shot to make an at-large now, but they're going to have to win basically almost every game.
Yeah,
They have those bad losses.
Wagner's pretty bad. Ole Miss is pretty bad. Penn's pretty bad, and Maryland Eastern Shore.
Yeah.
I
And if
mean,
they were healthy, they
who
don't lose
watches
those games.
Maryland Eastern Shore? I don't even
Well,
think
the
anybody from the
HBCU and
dung
on
heap.
the Eastern Shore. On the Eastern Shore.
I mean,
Is
like I
that
said,
Jersey Shore's cousin?
if Khalif Battle was healthy in those games, they don't lose those games. I mean, that's like I said, that's the problem.
Good Lord Almighty. I guess that Villanova win doesn't matter because Villanova's been choking this year.
Yeah.
10-10.
I mean, there's really two outcomes of this because I'm sorry, Jackson. There's no way Alabama's number one this week.
Well,
There's two outcomes to this. Either Houston did enough winning their other game this week and they stay number one because that's tend to happen, or Purdue is the new number one again.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty fun watching the rankings pretty soon.
Yeah,
Question
Houston's not going to be number one because the AP voters are going to look at the fact you lost to Temple. They're going to look at the fact that Temple's lost all those bad games, even though Khalif Battle was out. They're not going to be number one. It's going to be Purdue.
Right.
All right. Well, on to the previews.
Oh, yes. Big Monday.
Weird.
Yeah, I mean, this game, now that we're on the picks, Duke at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is a tough place to play in basketball. And they've had some injuries though, which is why their season's kind of like falling apart. I mean, because they were really looking good. Like after they beat North Carolina, they were ranked and they were playing really solid, but they have some injuries and they're not the same team right now. I don't know. They almost beat Clemson the other day, but Duke's playing better. They got Jeremy Roach back. I think they pull it out 70-67.
There we go. Oh, my turn. Oh. I'm going to go Duke 74, Virginia Tech 64. Those injuries you mentioned Virginia Tech, Jeffrey, it's ugly. It's going to be ugly.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Tech's won another conference game besides that UNC game. Man, they really fell apart. So I'm gonna go.
Gotta stay healthy.
Yeah, 80 to 64 Duke.
Buckeye Mike.
Virginia Tech is a hard place to win and play at, but Duke, I would think on paper, to Jeffrey's argument, would have the better team. And it's a matter of Does Virginia Tech have what it takes to keep pace with Duke? I don't think they do. I'm going to go Duke 80-60.
Oh man, Dickie V's gonna be happy to watch Duke, baby.
Well, Edward points out Virginia Tech just got their best player back healthy. Didn't necessarily know that, but it is
What's the
possible that he could have
percentage,
he could have
Edward?
some rust possibly in his first game back, but
How
it's possible
healthy,
Virginia Tech pulled off. But I'm going
Edward? How healthy is their best player? 100%, 70%. What's the percentage rate, my friend?
It can't be that good.
Yep.
Is it Justin Mutz?
He said he played against Clemson. They have more injuries besides him, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can pull it off. And I think Charleston's a really good team. They have one loss to North Carolina, though, and North Carolina's been scrutinized. I think that they're a really good team as long as they keep winning. If they can lose in their conference tournament and get an at-large, but I don't know. I don't know how far they're going to go in the tournament. If they make the tournament, but I think they're a really solid team. But obviously, it's really tough to judge these teams that play at a lower competition. But I think they're really solid. They shoot the ball well.
Yeah. Oh, you got Kansas.
Oh, no, none of us have picked yet. This game, it's actually really tough because Kansas lost 2 games in a row. Baylor's been playing better basketball as of late. It's at Baylor, tough place to play. I mean, you just feel like Kansas is not going to lose 3 in a row. You just feel like they're not, but at the same time, they really played bad against TCU. But
Yuck.
Is Bill Self gonna let Kansas lose 3 in a row? I don't know. It's just really, really tough, man. I'll take Baylor to beat Kansas 75-69. But
No.
I can definitely see Kansas winning. But I mean, it's at home for Baylor, Kansas, Mr. Owen. I'm gonna go Baylor.
So Kansas is coming off a big loss to TCU, and it's on the road. I have never been able to trust Baylor, basketball included. So Kansas is the more dominant team, and I think they'll get the job done. Whether it's actually close or not, who knows? But Baylor can put up a fight. They're definitely worthy of it. I mean, they just went through a real battle with TCU. I'm gonna go Kansas 80-69.
Going with Kansas.
Jackson, are you gonna pick your bare necessities this week?
No, I'm not. I'm going Kansas. Going with those Jayhawks.
All right, I guess I'm the one this week. I don't know. Beating Baylor at McLean is really tough. I'm gonna go 84-80 Bears. It's good
So
by
it's
me. But...
2 of us pick Baylor, 2 pick Kansas.
Mhm.
And I almost picked Kansas, but I don't know, man. It's tough at Baylor. It is tough. We'll see.
The
right,
Ohio State going against the Illinois.
Oh my gosh, this is a waste of time.
Well, I mean, this game's tough because of the fact that Indiana just went at Illinois and beat them by 15. So I would say like Illinois is a tough place to play. State Farm Center, they got good fans. It can get really loud in there. But Illinois, I mean, they were on a big winning streak, and then they just out of nowhere lose to Indiana. Ohio State was on a big losing streak. They just beat Iowa. But do you trust Ohio State to win on the road? I'm not sure. Illinois, again, they're usually a really good team at home, but they just dropped the home game to Indiana. I'll take Illinois 70-65 over Ohio State.
I gotta go. I gotta go with the Illinois 73, the Ohio State 64.
I don't see that Ohio State has the potential to replicate what they did to Iowa. Overall, Illinois is a better basketball team. 9 times out of 10, they usually are. To your point, Jeffrey, it's hard to play in, I believe you said it was called the State Farm Center.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's always been called that. But anyway, it's usually pretty hard to play where Illinois plays at. And again, I don't know if Ohio State's able to pull off a replication of Iowa. If they do, there's definitely potential, and it would honestly surprise me. But I have to go Illinois in this one, 60-45.
I'm going 70-63 Illini.
Everybody against the Buckeyes.
Again,
Onward to the next one, Syracuse and North Carolina.
Well, you got one of my teams up on the board, North Carolina, home state team.
Are you gonna pick against your teams like you've been doing with Indiana, man?
I don't know, man. I still trust Carolina more. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, even though they're not as good this year, you know, they haven't been as good with Hubert Davis as they were with Roy Williams. I still trust them more. Syracuse, they've been playing better basketball lately. They've been playing better. I don't know if they're going to be an at-large team or not, but they have been playing better. North Carolina does tend to struggle at Syracuse, but I'm going to take Carolina to win 70-68. I think it's going to be really close, but I think UNC pulls it out.
I think Syracuse is going to win at home in their own backyard, 65-61.
Should be a tough game overall. Syracuse has the length to stretch the court and stand up on the defense. I think it's going to be a tough battle. It's going to come down to the last shot, down to the wire. Give me Cuse 70-69.
This just screams like one of those games that Syracuse wins to squeak in and get my first 4 team. So I'm going to go Q 75-71.
I'm the only one picking Carolina here. Usually I'm the safe pick guy, and somehow Syracuse is the safe pick. Interesting. I mean, like I said, man, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Carolina's not as good, but I don't know. All it takes is love to get hot, you know? Just start shooting threes. I don't know. And Baycott,
Well,
that's the thing. Like, Baycott is dominant down low still. The key for Carolina is just give him the ball. So we'll see.
Well, hopefully Cuse has what it takes to stop North Carolina, and maybe we'll see a repeat of the last game against NC State, but it will be on North Carolina this time. I'm not encouraging that.
The room's Carolina Blue. Dude, that's funny, man. I mean, hey, someone else it was in this room a long time ago had it blue. It isn't even my room. But yeah, I mean, I love Carolina basketball, man. I mean, I use soft spot, man. Soft spot for those Hoosiers, man. Come on, but I like Carolina. We'll see. I mean, I won't be upset if Cuse wins. I like Boeheim. I mean, I hope he can. I really hope he can turn Syracuse around before he retires.
Yeah, I mean, there's one team out there right now that deserves and needs a title. It's Cuse, man. You don't want to leave your lasting legacy on only title being with freaking Carmelo Anthony, which is cool, great. I mean,
that
Carmelo.
Was YouTube and Facebook, man. So the dark ages, man.
And I mean, they definitely, were good back then. But again, like, I mean, they've had a few good players since then. It's like, how did you not win a title?
So, you got Cuse, Buckeye Mike?
Yeah.
So,
70-69.
Everybody ganging up on Jeffrey on this one.
Yup.
How's it
Our
feel to be
next
the lone
game-
wolf? What do you think
well,
about being
usually
the-
I'm not the lone wolf, but I mean, we'll see. I mean, it could turn out well or it could turn out bad, but either way, I mean, I'm not gonna be too
It's
upset.
always pretty cool to be the lone wolf. I tell you what, that's pretty awesome. But we got another big one. Well, we know Kansas State's not going to be 13th. They're most definitely going to be in the top 10 on Monday, tomorrow night, or this afternoon in this case, because we got Kansas State going to Iowa State. That's going to be a beautiful matchup. Jeffrey, your pick.
This is tough because Kansas State, I mean, they won at TCU, so they're capable of winning on the road. You've beaten Kansas. I mean, they struggled in their last game, but they pulled it out over Texas Tech. Iowa State, I mean, they've struggled a little bit. They lost at Oklahoma State this past weekend. You just feel like Iowa State, they need a bounce back win, and it is tough to win at Hilton. It is extremely tough. Those fans are crazy. I'm going to pick Iowa State to beat Kansas State 80-76.
You're going to go with Iowa State. Not so fast, my friend. I am going to go with Kansas State on the road. They're going to keep that lead in the Big 12 for right now. And it's going to be a K-State victory, 71-68.
Well, not so fast, my friend. I got my man's back. We're going Iowa State with the 70-68 win.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be great scoring around. You're not going to see much defense since nobody wants to box out for an offensive rebound.
And now it's up to
going
you.
with Iowa State. I'm going with Team Big A10 guys that transferred to the Big 12 because they have a lot of them there in Ames, including Hassan Ward, who is at VCU, Jaron Holmes, and Osin Oshini, who is at St. Bonaventure. So I think those guys are going to pull it off. I think it'll be an 85-80 Cyclone win.
Yeah, and it's funny, this is probably the game of the week, and it's on ESPNU because at the beginning of the season, I didn't think that this game was going to be a high-profile game. That's why college basketball, please schedule the games a week or two in advance instead of at the beginning of the season where you don't know how good the teams are going to be. This game should be on ESPN.
Yeah.
Onward.
This will be an interesting one.
What is with Connecticut? Good Lord, they've just been collapsing. I mean, yeah, they beat Butler, but we're not talking about 2010 Butler, for goodness sakes. It's god-awful 2023 Butler.
This is a tough game. This is a really, really, really underrated game here. I mean, because, it's not, obviously the Big East is not on ESPN. This could kind of float under the radar a little bit, but Xavier's playing great basketball. They lost at DePaul. That was a tough loss, but you feel after the Marquette game could have been a letdown. You bounce back. You beat Georgetown. Xavier's having a great season. I do question their, ability of being a top 10 team, in the country. I don't know if they're a top 10 team. They possibly could be, but they are really, really good. UConn has been slipping, but they beat Butler. This is a really, really tough game. It's going to be very loud at UConn. The home crowd, the XL Center, it's going to be loud. It is going to be extremely loud. The fans are going to be crazy. But Xavier has won a lot of road games. Tough game to pick. But I'll take Xavier 77-73 over UConn.
True. Connecticut has lost 5 of the last 7 games. It's just, they've been terrible. I don't know what is up, Connecticut. Do better. I got to go with it, Xavier, 75-61.
UConn is in the garbage right now that I take out every week, as the running joke goes. And they got a decent win over Butler, but everybody's pointing not the same Butler as it was 13 years ago. when you lost to Duke in the Natty that you should have won. You got cheated out of. Xavier overall, better team. They're stacked up better defense. And yeah, that being said, I'm going to go Xavier 70 to 59 UConn.
Even though I'm not a Sean Miller fan, I think Xavier's going to pile on to the misery that UConn basketball has been having lately. So I think it'll be a 75-58 Musketeer win. Now, this is a fun game. It may not be, it could be a blowout, but it could also be a fun game.
Your boys from the Atlanta 10. There we go. And you got former Bama man, Anthony Grant. Oh, man.
Taking on former Dayton man, Archie Miller.
Ooh, Archie.
Oh, man. This game, I mean, you've got Archie Miller, the former Elite Eight coach, the former bright young star of college basketball, A+ hire at Indiana. It didn't turn out so well. Now everybody thinks Archie Miller can't coach anymore. I mean, again, Archie Miller, I feel that his style of play works better in a smaller conference. And I also feel that his style of play works better back in like the 1980s than it does now. But the issue for Rhode Island is they just don't have any good players in his first year. And possibly longer he's there, maybe they'll improve. I mean, hope for his sake that they do so he doesn't get fired from Rhode Island a couple years down the road. I think he possibly can turn them around. Dayton has been struggling lately. They're not looking very good, but I think Dayton will win 64-58.
I'm gonna say that Dayton will make Rhode Island stifle themselves 65-50.
Okay, I guess Mike's having some connection issues. I feel like, I don't know, Dayton, they haven't been playing well lately. Their fans on Twitter want Anthony Grant fired.
What?
Yeah, they're trying to turn on Anthony Grant now. But I do think that that they'll beat Rhode Island because Rhode Island doesn't have the shooters that George Washington has because that's how they lost their last game. They just couldn't stop the three. So I feel like they'll win this game 70-58.
Oh, easily. Dayton's a threat all around. Rhode Island is not a threat at all. Dayton completely dangerous. Down low from the arc, and Dayton's just gonna run away with this. I mean, it's gonna literally be an absolute surprise shocker if Rhode Island pulls this off. There's no way. Give me Dayton 70 to Rhode Island 43.
I guess all of us have Dayton.
Oh crap! I guess Rhode Island is gonna win this game now.
I doubt it.
All right.
Oh God!
Gonzaga's loss against Loyola Marymount. Guess what Auburn has now? The longest active winning streak at home in college basketball. It is a 28-game winning streak at home. Can they move it to 29?
Hey, Will.
I'll just say it about this game. If Texas A&M can't win at Kentucky, then they're more than likely not going to win at Auburn. I'm not saying that is that black and white, but Auburn should win this game. They should extend their win streak. A&M won a lot of games this year against inferior competition. I still think they're a solid team, but Auburn playing way better basketball right now. When they were at the beginning of the season in non-conference play, they were really struggling, but they're playing a lot better. I'm going to go with Auburn to beat Texas A&M 75-64.
Ooh.
I mean, both of these teams are in the dumpster fire. To Jeffrey's point, you'd almost be stupid to pick A&M. Not specifically stupid, of course, like you always say. You're not calling anybody stupid. I'm going to go Auburn to beat the what looks like a picture of the women's A&M team because that looks like a woman.
Yeah, Zakai Ziegler for Tennessee likes pigtails.
No. I'm talking about the A&M dude. It looks like a woman.
Oh,
I think it's just the way that it's angled, though. But yeah, the Tennessee
he's
player.
like a dude. I mean,
Well, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm gonna go Auburn, 80-40. Actually, 80-30 because A&M is trash.
they put 67 on Kentucky though.
But
I'll go 80-65.
you got Auburn.
You know, in my defense, I could say Auburn's going to win this 150 to
Yeah,
five.
Buck, I'm like, Edwardson, Mike, what kind of girl you be looking at? Again, Zakai Ziegler has pigtails, but he still looks like a dude. Texas A&M guy, I don't know.
It's literally the way that the
Yeah.
goes against his hair.
Yeah. So I guess we're all going Auburn on this one. Huh? Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to go Auburn 78-61.
And to my point, you know, I keep saying it's cool to pick the scores, but to my point, it doesn't matter score-wise because I could literally say Auburn's going to win 200-6. And as long as Auburn wins, the score doesn't matter.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
well,
well,
about
you
this.
kind of want to be realistic, though, Buck. I'm like, still, you kind of want to be realistic. And last time, Brandon, to Edward's point, that's one muscular girl.
Yeah.
I mean, they're out there, dude.
Should we make it though? Like you get like 2 right if you guess the closest score.
I mean, we're kind of stuck with where we're at now because you started this with no rules.
Yeah, I mean, we keep doing what we're doing. I just, picking the games and, whoever's right.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
kinda
to my
you
point,
want to be realistic, though. You don't want to pick 80-30.
No.
I mean, or
I know.
especially not
I'm just
206.
I'm just saying, like, I could literally say that, and it's not going to matter as long as Auburn wins. And to Edward's point, no, I do not. They make me uncomfortable.
Oh my god!
Oh, man.
You picked a bad image for the Minnesota. Crap.
I couldn't find many pictures of this player from Minnesota. I'm just trying to get the picture of the leading scorer.
So, Indiana at Minnesota. Are the Hoosiers playing the best basketball in the Big Ten?
Right
Playing
now.
really, really good right now. 3 wins, all double digits. Longest win streaks is 2019 and Romeo Langford. Mike Woodson, he's gotten the fan base back in order. I don't know, man. I mean, it's like I'm tempted here. I am really, really, really tempted to just say I'm going to pick IU. They're going to beat the worst team in the Big Ten. But, I mean, again, you got to keep this going. I mean, I've got 3 in a row here picking against them. So Minnesota's gonna beat IU 70-65. Go right ahead.
Oh, I'm gonna go Indiana 75-64. Indiana's playing their way to March Madness now.
This is reverse psychology, guys.
I'm going
Okay.
IU.
Oh, I see you're learning from the master himself, Bugs Bunny. Reverse psychology, words for Bugs Bunny, words for Jeffrey too. I like that. I love it. I love it. Who's
My turn.
Indiana.
Will did.
Will did it.
My turn.
Your turn.
Yeah. Your savior is here again, Jeffrey.
Happy days are here again.
I mean, unless Indiana turns into Ohio State and they just completely blow this, which I don't think they will. They're way better than Ohio State. I'm going to go Indiana to Hoosier, the freaking Golden Gophers, and stomped their heads into the ground. Let's go 79-55.
All right.
Now the bigger question before we move on is Indiana ranked tomorrow?
No, but maybe they will be on Monday.
Well, they didn't get any votes this
Man.
week.
That's what I'm saying. Are they going to be ranked tomorrow? Is what I'm saying.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
They might be on the edge to where they need to win out this week, and then they might be ranked. But honestly, in my opinion, they should already be ranked. I mean, really, you're not going to give them any credit after the big 3 wins that they've had: Wisconsin, Michigan State, and whatever the other one was. I mean, really, at Illinois. Come on, they should be ranked.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Buckeye. Hopefully they are. We'll see, though. We'll see.
All right.
Edward says tomorrow is Monday, Jackson.
Yeah, today's Monday.
Yep. We're in tomorrow, today.
All right.
Purdue, Michigan.
Second to last game.
This is a tough game because of the fact that every single time Purdue becomes the number 1 team, they lose. And that is interesting. Like, I'm serious. Like, they've been the number 1 team and then they lose. Michigan's clearly not a very good team this year. They have talent, but they haven't played like a good team. They have the talent, though. I don't know, man. It's going to be loud at Michigan. Their fans are going to show up. Hunter Dickinson, I think, can compete with Zach Edey. Do I dare pick the Wolverines? I mean, this is tough because, again, Purdue's going to be number 1, and then they lose. It usually happens.
Don't you dare.
Don't dare do what?
Don't you dare do it. Don't you do it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I forgot.
I'm kidding. You can pick who you want.
I really don't know, man. This is tough. I could be completely wrong, and Purdue's probably going to win, but I'm going to take Michigan to beat Purdue 65-60.
Wow.
I could be wrong.
Ooh.
That is my biggest upset of the week right there.
I'm gonna go.
And it has I'm not anti-Purdue just because I'm IU guy here. I'm North Carolina guy and I pick Duke all the time. I like Duke pretty well. I like Purdue. I like Matt Painter. I'm just every time they're number 1, they usually lose. So we'll see.
I'm gonna go Purdue. Sorry, Jeffrey. I gotta go Purdue 68-60.
As much as I kid, I was 100% kidding. Even if Edward in the chat doesn't believe me, I was 100% kidding with you, Jeffrey. To your point, yes, Purdue is wishy-washy once they get that number 1 spot. As bad as Michigan is, because it's basketball, it doesn't sour my mouth to say this, but I'm gonna go Michigan 67.
The reason that I like Michigan is because Hunter Dickinson can guard Zach Edey. And if you take those 2 guys out, Michigan has the better talent. And they're playing at home, so they should win. So I think Purdue is going to turn back into Purdue like they did against LSU in football.
LSU?
So I'm going to go 72-68 Blue.
So I thought I was picking the upset here with Michigan, and then we got Will and Buckeye Mike also picking Michigan. Okay, I mean,
I was going to pick them before. You didn't change my mind.
When I told him not to pick Michigan, I forget what you said, but yeah, because I picked Michigan and told Jeffrey not to. I think that's what it was.
All right.
Anyway, let's pick the last one.
Oh, the Battle of LA. That's going to be a Big Ten game pretty soon.
Yeah,
Next
this game
game.
right here, USC's playing better. Even though they did struggle at the end of the Arizona State game, they are playing better. UCLA's coming off a tough loss to Arizona. This one's actually really, really tough. And I mean, USC almost beat UCLA at UCLA, 60-58. So, I think UCLA will bounce back. Not super confident, but I'll take UCLA to beat USC 70-65.
I'm going to go
Better-
UCLA.
I'm in here still.
Yeah, I'm going to go UCLA 74-64.
You better hope Tim's not in here still, Jeffrey.
Well, the one thing that oh wait, no, Mike, go first.
Oh, you're good. The only thing with me is I feel like UCLA is coming off a close loss, and they're probably more motivated than USC. USC, though, is coming off a win that was close and should have been a blowout. So I think that we're starting to see the USC trend finally kick in. And with that being said, I don't think USC can win this game. I'm going to go UCLA 70-60.
The one thing that gives
We
me
love the
pause-
number 10 tonight, don't we, gents?
The one thing that gives me pause about this is because that USC only lost by 2 in Pauley Pavilion. But I think UCLA is just, they're going to play angry. They're going to play determined to win. So I'm going to go 85-73 UCLA.
Nice.
Will's the only one that doesn't have UCLA winning by 10. He's got him winning by 12. 3 of us have him winning by 10.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say this. We obviously didn't have it in our presentation, but as far as Iowa, Michigan State, give me Sparty. And again, because scores don't matter, give me Sparty 500-200.
I'll take Michigan State 70-63 over Iowa.
Yeah, if we're being legit, give me 70-65.
Let's see. I'm going to go Michigan State 69-62.
I'll go
Okay.
Michigan State 70-64.
There we go.
We must really love the number 69 tonight for some reason.
Yep.
Oh,
1969.
That's not what I'm looking at, but okay.
Oh, man, we're so damaged.
Oh,
like our minds.
we can't say on air for some
Yeah.
reason. Brian.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, guys, what game are you most excited for? I'm most excited for Kansas State, Iowa State.
Same.
Really good game. Kansas Baylor too.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
really
How
curious
often we-
about
Same for
Purdue.
UConn as well.
Yuck, Connecticut. Blech. I'm more
I
excited
think-
about Purdue, Michigan. Does number 1 get cursed on them? Or are they going to stop the curse, so to speak?
You know, if they do stop the curse, then the 3 of us, other than Jackson, are going to look really stupid.
We're taking on Mason this week, so it should be an easy win. But their big man, Josh Duro, gets everyone.
Oh, you're taking on George Mason?
Yeah.
If I was a betting man, I would do $50 on Mason to beat you guys.
All right.
And I get and let's see. So pretty big. Big 12 games, Big 10. Auburn's winning streak. I tell you what, I'm impressed that the state of Alabama is doing very awesome in college basketball. 10 years ago, this wasn't even possible. But now we're talking about Alabama possibly being number one in the nation, and we're talking about Auburn's longest active winning streak. Auburn now having the longest active home game winning streak. That is big right there.
Yeah, it's really impressive, man.
And it's like, whether you don't like Bama, whether you don't like Auburn, I'll tell you right now, the state of Alabama should feel very proud of Alabama and Auburn. And be proud of the fact that they got two awesome coaches in Nate Oates and Bruce Pearl. I'll tell you what, though, play your cards right. You may see Alabama and Auburn go to the Elite Eight this year. And once again, that should make you feel pretty proud, state of Bama.
Also, it shows patience pays off as well, because when Bruce Pearl was hired at Auburn, he had a struggle at the beginning of his tenure, but they gave him time and he turned it around, and now they're really good. So
I'm so impressed and just so proud of our state. I'll tell you what.
So, Jeffrey, since we're talking basketball tonight, I have a question for you.
mm-hmm.
Do you think, I mean, you are still so young, do you think you will ever see Indiana raise up the Natty again in basketball in your lifetime?
That's a tough question. I don't think it's impossible.
Be honest, guys.
Don't
Be
say that.
honest. No
Don't
trolling.
say that. I want to enjoy this, man.
I don't think it's impossible. I mean, it's going to be tough because, I mean, you know, Indiana's not what they used to be. But, I mean, with things possibly trending more in the right direction, if they can continue to get some good players in, I don't know if Mike Woodson can do it, but maybe he can. But if they can get a good coach in the future, it's possible.
Be honest, guys. What do you think is the most likely thing to happen? Notre Dame wins a national championship in football, or Indiana wins a national championship in basketball?
Oh, dude, easily. Indiana wins a Natty in basketball before Notre Dame even comes close to sniffing a Natty in football. Get a break, dude. That's not even a question. See? I told you.
Yeah.
I mean, Indiana's improving. I mean, they're getting better.
Indiana makes it to
Notre Dame is just continuously. You're getting the little heartbeats every once in a while because, they can win big games. Oh, we beat South Carolina. Yeah, you had no pulse or heartbeat when you lost to Marshall and lost to Stanford. Give me a break.
All right, Mike. Well.
And I guess that's all for tonight, folks.
I think Notre Dame and Indiana both have a shot in football.
Oh, yeah, easy.
To win
Indiana's trending in more of a right direction than Notre Dame is, so it's more likely Indiana does it first. Granted, right now,
let's see how Notre Dame does at home in college football 2023. Then we can really talk about whether Notre Dame.
Well, I mean, once the 12 team comes around, as long as Notre Dame doesn't do anything stupid like lose to Stanford, that's a bad team, or Marshall, that's, not even a Power 5 team, then, they'll easily be able to make the 12 team. And then at that point, it's just a matter of, do you have the athletes to keep up with the powerhouses of the Big Ten and the SEC to then, get all the way to the end.
Well, I think the recruiting is putting that in the right direction. So,
well, and I guess we're all done for tonight.
Okay.
So,
I'll see.
So everybody come back on Tuesday for football. We don't know yet if it's NFL or college football news, but everyone come back.
Just a little bit of both, but stay tuned as we give you some of the best content here at the Young Guns. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for being here, everybody.